Uh, okay, now we'll begin our session. So thank you all. Thank you again for joining us today. I would like to welcome our speakers for today. We have Miss Priya Shah from North Central College and Miss Kritaya from University of San Francisco. Thank you both for joining our session today. As I mentioned earlier, after their presentation, we will have a Q&A session at the end. So please submit your questions through the Q&A box in English. And once again, I would like to introduce our speakers. Thank you, Priya and Krita, for joining us. I'm passing over to you. The floor is yours.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Reggie, for introducing me. My name is Priya. I'm really excited to be here. I'm going to share my PowerPoint very quickly. And I hope everyone can see it okay. So I'm going to talk a little bit about recommendation letters and extracurricular activities and how to best share this information for your students. I currently work at North Central College. It's a small liberal arts university based out of Chicago. And I am also an English instructor. So I can give you I'm trying to give a large scope of different things we see in recommendation letters and extracurriculars and kind of like the do's and don'ts. I know some of this information you may be familiar with, but it's always nice to get a refresher. So one of the big questions I get recently, I've noticed, is our recommendation letters, are they important? Do they really matter? And yes, they do. Within reason. I think it's really about the content that is put in those letters. So the recommendation letters help to understand the students who apply beyond their grades, GPA, and test scores. So it just gives us a little bit more context into who the student is, and it helps us to see the student a part in the competitive process. And so to understand that the student in that way, there's specific details that we kind of like to see, admissions counselors like to see in the recommendation letters. So this is just a brief list of things that you can include in the recommendation letter. Obviously, there are additional things as well, but based off what I see in recommendation letters and other admission counselors I speak to, this is kind of the feedback that I hear that we would like to see included in the letter. So I know that in most applications, the school profile is shared with the application, but it's also important to share details about your school that are not included in the school profile. So meaning that giving us more context to the student's academic experience at the high school. So that means like curriculum, different programs within the school that are all relevant to what the student experienced in their time at the school. It's also really helpful to choose 3 to 5 specific values and traits. Again, because like I said in the previous slide, we want to see the students' experiences at the high school, and we also want to better understand within academically or with how they were involved in the school, their growth and the challenges that they had. And then it's really important to support these examples their growth with anecdotes or examples. So, we don't just want to see a list. We want to see, and it can be brief. It doesn't have to be long stories or really glamorous stories. We just want to see examples that help us to understand these values and traits that the counselors have shared. And overall, we just want to see what makes the student exceptional. What sets them apart in the competitive process. What are the academic hardships when we say that they overcome, did they choose to be a part of a program that was challenging them at first, and did they move forward, and how did they move forward? And those are the things that we want to see and read about. And then these are just some tips of what to avoid in recommendation letters. And these are some of the things that I see that, when I'm reading a letter or other admission counselors tell me, these are the ones that don't really capture our interests because there's nothing that is standing out in specific connection with the student. So it's really important to, like I said before, not list. Listing qualities is just something that no one should really do in the recommendation letter. And it's really important to avoid generic language. So, just saying they were a great leader or they were honest or kind or a community member. We want to know more about like a description of how they were a leader. So you can say they demonstrated leading a group of students in a large project. That would give us a better idea of how they were a leader. And again, don't just list the students' traits or values, and please don't summarize their resume. So we do see that happen often. It's just like an exact replica of their resume. We, again, want to see the recommendation letter gives us a more personalized view into the student as a person, not just, a general list of facts about them. Don't write more than one page if it's possible. Admission counselors are reviewing a lot of applications. I'm sure everyone has heard this before, but if it's avoidable, try your best to keep everything to one page. And I have seen this from specific high schools every year that we review. Please avoid submitting the checklist, like the standard form, and then the counselor just signs it and again, just list a bunch of, very generic qualities or traits. Again, we don't want to just see that. We want to, we always say show versus tell. So it's really important that, we are able to see how that student embodies those values or characteristics that the counselor is listing or sharing so that we can see them as more as an individual. And then for extracurriculars, what I'm always asked, what should be the focus? I'm asked this by a lot of students and admission counselors, and I think one of the most important things is quality over quantity. So again, we don't want to see a list of many, many, many different extracurriculars because that does not really capture their interest, their commitment to extracurricular. So I would say choose activities that students have spent a meaningful amount of time working on or working with. And so it also shows their passion, their interest, their dedication to that extracurricular. And it's best to focus on activities that we see are meaningful to the student, meaning it doesn't have to be what is considered impressive in that we know that everyone goes into the forums and on everywhere on social media and online, there's always this idea of what looks good to admissions counselors, but it's more about focusing on activities that are meaningful to the student. So, for example, if a student helps their family with a business or, working after school, that is more impactful than having 20 extracurriculars. Or if a student has had a long-term volunteer commitment, or if they have started an initiative at their high school or in the community, or if they've done something that is encouraging involvement in their community. That's what we want to see more with the extracurriculars. It's when a student is coming to admissions counselors, while they are in high school, and if they're asking what are some good extracurriculars to be a part of, I would say encourage involvement that can have an impact in their community. So but at the same time is also interesting to them. So it's really important that they are not just trying to fulfill some sort of arbitrary qualification. And one more thing is that it's when we are looking at these extracurriculars and we're saying quality over quantity, and talking about community, we want to see that they will carry on that type of commitment to extracurriculars on the campus that they choose to go to at the university. So we want to see that they will be involved in the campus community, that they will be inclined to become leaders in groups, start organizations, volunteer. So we really want to see that they will be a part of our community and what impact will they have on that campus community. So that is really important. So the extracurriculars that are listed in their college application and what their commitment was should translate into how they will be that type of student on the institution's campus as well. And then incorporating extracurriculars into the recommendation letter. So I always tell admissions counselors that, you know, it can get a little, you feel like you're being repetitive. It can get a little, you know, hard to differentiate the two, but you don't have to do that, because when they have their list of extracurriculars, you can also incorporate those into the recommendation letter. And one of the ways is when we're saying in the recommendation letter to, you know, give context to the students' experiences and growth, you can also show how they've held a balance between their academics and extracurriculars. That is one way to exemplify and to show, you know, what type of student they are. And again, like I said, admission counselors want to see how the student will be a part of their campus community. So it's really a nice twofold way of really showing that student experience and the recommendation letter to connect it with their list of extracurriculars. And that's it. I hope that was helpful information. Thank you. And I will pass it to Kataya.
Hi. Thank you so much, Priya. Hi, my name is Kitaya. Just give me a second and then I will pull up my presentation. Okay. If anybody's okay with, okay. Give me a second. Oh, give me a second. Okay. All right. Everybody see it, right? Oh. What I'm doing. Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you so much once again. Thank you for Priya to introduce about the letter accommodation and extracurricular activities. Let me introduce myself one more time. My name is Gitaya. I'm based in Bangkok, Thailand. I'm also Director of National Admission. I'm in charge of Southeast Asia and also East Asia. And I'm very so excited that I know Priya is in Japan at the moment. I'm going to follow her to Japan later in the next 2 weeks, those kind of things like that. I'm an admission counselor. I'm also both two hats. I'm an international, I am a University of San Francisco alumni, and currently I'm a director of national admission. So I'm in charge of the admission team and also be the one who review the application. I'm the one who doing a kind of like a recalculated GPA and those kind of like make decisions. And also I'm the one who kind of like giving you about the scholarship to the student as well. Okay, so it's my pleasure to be here. I know when we talk about in terms of application checklists, what kind of document that students need to submit, the school profile has been not listed on our website because it's created by your college counselors or schools, administratives people, but it's a very, very important piece, even though it's not required. As admission officer like me or Priya, sometimes we like to see those school profile, and then we kind of like give you a more understand what is going on with the schools, with going with the curriculum. So basically, the school profile is kind of like a more 1 to 2, 2 to 4 pages, I would say, a document that provide the context about every single thing about your school, especially to kind of like demonstrate it, the application, the applicant, the learning environment. So basically, the school profile will talk about where is you located, of course, and then also about school demographics in terms of student populations, how many Japanese, how many expats, how many US citizens, and those kind of things like that. Curriculum overview, we just want to see like, we don't have to go back in terms of kind of like a more primary years. We want to see about your junior high school, what the curriculum overview you look like for. Are you coming with the curriculum with national in Japan, or are you kind of like a part of IGCSE, British curriculum, or some school do kind of like a more IB? Are you in part of kind of like a MYP or those things like that? So when you see the curriculum overview, how you come across from the kind of like a more junior high school all the way to the high school programs. Okay, and then the very important piece is about grading system. Many schools do quite different than the grading system. If you're going to use 1-5 scale is super fine with a common one, or you can do on your own. What is your passing grade look like? What is your average grades look like? That's very important for all the admission officer like us to be able to understand the academic kind of like a more standard, kind of like a more academic positions of your students. And then also some school might talk about standardized test score. Some school may have maybe TOEFL preparation course, IELTS course, or perhaps SAT or ACT courses, or maybe a little bit more about any single tests. I starting to come across with all the national curriculum in Japan. Some of them also involved with some specialized program, those kind of things like that. So please feel free to put on your school profile so we can be able to understand. And also the next one will be about graduate requirements. We want to see like how much classes they need. Some school providing, for example, some school might ask, say, you need to pick 2 AP classes. Some school want to do the IB curriculum. Some of them, they do curriculum like maybe kind of like a more career, also IB certificates, those kind of things like that. We just want to make sure that like how the students graduate from your school, what is kind of curriculum, what kind of requirement that they're gonna be. Okay, many schools also talk about specialized programs. I start to see for many schools starting to partner with kind of like a high school back in the US, or some school do the online program, those kind of specialized program that we want to see. Even though specialized program can involve with a project-based, we start to see many schools do the project-based in Japan. That would be good to put them on it so we can be able to understand how kind of challenges or how regular programs of this your academic program that you offer. And of course, a contact information, if you can list perhaps principal names, or maybe some kind of like a more counselor coordinated programs or counselor programs, just in case we have a little bit questions or something like that to go back to refer to. That would be lovely to look at your one piece of information about that kind of thing. So this is like a 1 to 2 pages. Okay, so it's not like about many more. And then of course you can make it available online, or you can put it on Common App, or you can put on things like that. It's up to you, but this is kind of like a little bit more that likely to attach with the when the transcript when we're reading it. Okay, I want to kind of emphasize a little bit about in terms of how we're going to use best practices of academic of your school profile. I talk so much about in terms of your academic curriculum that it's very, very important for our admission officers throughout. For people who use holistic approach or can be able to talk about to kind of review your students. It's very matter in terms of this one. We also want to see about your class offerings. Sometimes you say you are AP program, your IB program. We just want to see like how many classes of your AP offering. If, for example, you offer 11 AP, and then your student took about 2 APs or non-AP, we start to go to see like how the students go through that round. Are they ready for the IB, or they ready for AP, and those kind of things like that also. And also academic curriculum. It also can be more specific, clear on the school profile. When we read the transcript, sometimes you might interpret it IP, AP, or IB on your Japanese transcript. Sometimes we don't understand this is going to be honor program or not program. Sometimes going back to school profile make me understand. For example, some school might do IGCSE or use a British curriculum program. They might do IGCSE before they be turned the IB program, or can be turned an A-level program. If it doesn't say on your school profile, and then when we look at your transcript, sometimes the school provided not providing IGCSE test results. Sometimes they don't provide an IB MYP results. So it's a little bit of for us to, we want to see like how the students going, is that they taking a test or they taking a class, those kinds. So we wanted to kind of like go back in terms of kind of like a Bible for us to kind of keep track. Okay, if the students going to this certain way and we'll go to like an honor program and things like that also. Some other schools do the honor program, but they don't say in the transcript. So if kind of like, it will be better if you can put it on the both ways on your school profile and also your transcript. So I will tell you a little bit more about how we calculate the grades and all of that. Some students do the pathway program. Some schools offer like a more dual enrollment. So this is kind of like a little bit more a special pieces for us to understand. Then the reason I say about the first three bullets is because we want to get into about a GPA calculation. Many schools, there's 5,300 universities in the US that do quite different ways. Your students can apply more than the US. So I would say admission around or most university around the world, we do the reading application in different ways. But many universities in the US, for example, according to University of San Francisco, we also do a GPA calculation. So that's maybe we'll talk about in terms of like go back to your transcript and do GPA calculation can be weight or unweighted GPA. So this is kind of like we want to see what we corrected, right? Sometimes you do the honor program, you doesn't say so on a transcript. We can have it back on the school profile. Then I can understand how the students align with the academic and all of that together. Okay, so that was kind of like a little bit about in terms of exactly what we talk about best practices American academic curriculum. I just want to echo what the Priya was saying that about how we evaluate the students. So basically, many schools also use holistic approach. We call holistic admission. Just want to remind you one more time that everything we are saying in this particular these hours that very better in terms of how we're going to take a look overall of your students. So that's mean when we talk about holistic admission, we likely want to see your academic, your GPA, your predict score, your mock exam. So when you make it clear on your school profile, as I mentioned earlier, that keep us understand a little bit better in terms of like how the students coming, how many exams they're going to do. Extracurricular activities that Ms. Priya mentioned also is very important. When we take a look at the overall, we try to see how your student balance with everything. And then also extracurricular activities is also can be shown on a school profile. We start to see a couple schools in Japan that doing a project-based, some school providing or something like mandatory. Maybe they can do the trip, they can do community service trip, they will do something together with the schools. This is kind of keeping us understanding how your students do in academic and also curricular and things like that. We didn't touch about personal statement and essay. That's also kind of involved with all the over here, recommendation letter that you're providing for us is also kind of thing. So when we take a look at overall with all the holistic approach, the school profile has been stand out in terms of in this particular case. For example, we can have Miss Priya and I or admission counselor can come up with some student that have 5 or 4.0 GPA. Extra curriculum is super good, everything like that. Then we try to maybe we have 1 spot or 2 spot in a mission world. We will try to evaluate it, which one is the best fit. So maybe school profile that you can read everything, letter recommendation that you submitting us is giving us more details. Maybe passing grades of these different schools are quite different than the other. Passing grades, maybe the other school can be C or can be 70%. Some of the passing grade, the other school can be about 80%. So when we don't talk about in terms of number or numeral GPA 3.5, 3.3, those kind on your transcript, we try to evaluate it more, how much it's going to be. Also, for your school profile, we start to kind of to see how the academic trend of the students are looking for. So those kind of, we're going to go with, okay, we go to high school, we go to small, kind of like a junior high. When they get into high school, what the curriculum has been shifted or how the school provided the better preparation and those kind of things like that. So just want to give you the core counselor that when we talk about holistic approach admission, this is how we look in your application. Please be careful or kind of pay attention to. We as in admission world or an admission counselor, we don't say number one is a GPA, number two extracurricular activities. So we usually like talk everything together in one piece about the puzzle over here. So everything very matter in this case. Okay, so when you can see about holistic approach, you see what I'm talking about it right now. So that's kind of like to summarize what it is. We try to evaluate your student very carefully about all the context that you provide. The recommendation sounds good. Transcript reading grade system sounds good. Any extras, any notes, any school profile, those kind of things is very matter to us. Every single content that we're gonna giving us a kind of like a more input that kind of like helping admission officers like me to understand how your student go through. So this is kind of very important in terms of kind of like want to see. Academic record, as I mentioned, they prepare well. They didn't prepare so well in the beginning, but they kind of like a little bit more concentrated at the end of senior years. Things like that, that will be sounds good. Interpreting and also it's very important to all. And then also the most important thing is we want to understand the school profile. We're helping us to understand the environment that your student have been thriving now. So maybe, and also many university, school profile can be giving more in terms of school that they have been accepted, things like that too. I just visited a school in Hong Kong, and also kind of like the counselor in Hong Kong asked me and show me the example of a school profile, and they would just kind of like pick up some brand and say, Miss Kitaya, is this enough? This is about 2 pages or 4 pages and things like that. Do I put the graph in there? Do I put the percentage in there? Do I put my average score in there? I was gonna say there's no perfect school profile. We will talk about this. Some school may be asking, recommend the marketing team to writing it. A school profile, I think your counselor a little bit know about this. We just want, you just can be able to use this space to showcase about your school and then make sure that it's very carry on to the admission officers and perhaps in all those your student success and all of that together around. So that's kind of a little bit more. I also just got back from the Philippines. I also be charged of, I also be kind of become EducationUSA, kind of like a more team to do a counselor trainings. I did the training with the school profile over there in the Philippines as well. When I first went to the Philippines, I just want to share this for a few seconds. So when I went to school in the Philippines, I start to see the admission a school profile, 52 pages of school profile. I know it looks stunned, right? As a mission, we cannot have more time to read 50 pages. So I take more time for me to kind of like understand and go through with the schools and see how the school profile very kind of like a bit put in a matter in terms of reading application. You don't need 52 pages. If we also, please keep in mind, you still put the school profile or about a fact on your website. So basically some school at university admission, sometimes when they have a question, they might reach out or they might go into your school website and look for it. You don't have to talk about in terms of details, those kind of things like that. So maybe 1 or 2 or 3 pages, it can including whatever it is, can be historically, kind of like a little bit more about contact information, how's mission statement look like, what type of school will be, those kind of things. So that's going to be kind of like a little bit more important. Okay, so this is kind of recap what we are talking about in terms of how we're going to use school profile in terms of with our mission worlds. So basically put a little bit more details about that, academic performances, extracurricular activities you have done in the school, and of course the most important thing, the leadership. So we would just want to see how your school kind of like providing a little bit more spaces or stages of the leadership, maybe a couple more that you guys got involved, organization that you always sent, maybe sports you guys be on for visa, or can be like all those the Asian games or whatever this game that you're gonna be. This is also keep us to understand how your school look like in terms of that, those kind of thing. That's about what I have been posted it on in terms of 15 to 20 minutes. So actually, if you have any more questions, feel free to use the Q&A. I think I'm gonna turn the stage to Hugo, or I can be a Ruchi. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Priya and Kritaya, for your wonderful presentation. So yes, so we have some questions. We currently have two questions in the Q&A box. If you don't mind, Kritaya and Priya, if you don't answering the first, oh, now we have three questions. If you don't mind answering those from the Q&A box, that would be great.
I can answer the first one. If a student has a mid-level GPA because his school is very competitive, would it be better to explain the school competitiveness in the school profile? Yes, it is helpful to explain the school competitiveness in the school profile. It's also helpful to give that context in more details in the recommendation letter. That's where we would see how the student stands apart, because that's what we would say with challenges, academic challenges. So the student may be a very strong student, but they may have struggled because the competitiveness, the type of learning that was happening and grading and assessments that were happening in the classroom may have been at an extremely competitive level. So that would give the admissions counselor a better idea of how to overlook their GPA. And like Kritaya said, it's holistic. So that would be really helpful, especially for specific universities that are very big on the holistic approach.
I think I'm gonna add it on, Priya. She explaining very well, that her words. So basically, it's a kind of like, but one more time, the holistic approach we don't talk about in terms of GPA. You saw on my presentation earlier. We talk about the best fit. We talk about those things like that too. But if you talk about in terms, many schools using the GPA to determine the merit-based scholarships. That's kind of like one thing that we want to make sure. But that's why you say if you're giving us more wording about your passing rates, your average class, average GPA, or those things on the school profile, that kind of like we can be able to look it up a little bit. And also the mid-level GPA, we talk about two GPA in this particular one. One is going to be cumulative GPA. If it's going to be mid-level, we understand. But also we want to see the last 2 years of your GPA as well. If your students can be a little bit about to show the upward trend, things like that. And also you can explain about how the students have put the best efforts to make it, improvement on each particular class. So we combine together with the school profile, letter accommodation, and things like that along the way. Thank you.
Kritaya, do you want to take the second one or?
Sure. Okay, we have each other. So we have another second question. It's about our school always struggle with the GPA. We use the 5-point scale without any weighting. And then is there any simple formula that you use to get to the 4-point scale? This is also kind of like a similar question, a similar we normally see on the GPA kind of calculations. Each particular university have their own formula to kind of create it in terms of recalculate the GPA. You can stay where you are with the 5 scale. You don't have to change anything, but just put on your transcript in terms if you have a very challenging class, honor class, maybe specialized class, maybe enrollment class, any advanced class, those kind of things like that. So when we see those asterisks on it, we sometimes, for University of San Francisco, I can speak of it. I can wait for Miss Priya to speak about hers. For my university, if I see honor, I see advanced, I see some things like that, we might want to see in terms of bonus, we might want to give them a weighted GPA in some town. So that's kind of like a little bit more to kind of like understand. We also can see many school also can do regular class GPA, honor class GPA, or AP class GPA. For example, if your students taking the honor and get 5 on the honor one, it can be 4.2 in American World, or those kind of things. So you can use those metrics on your school profile or a grading system, but more and more, we're likely to see all your overall in application that way. Okay, I'm going to give you the Priya.
Thank you, Ms. Kritaya. I would say I agree with what she's saying. Yes, same with us. If we see like honors, AP, depending on the class they're taking, then when we're in the conversion process, we would bump it up by whatever that level is of the course. I can move on to the next question. Let's see. Do you require 2 school profiles from both schools if a student transfer a high school in Japan from a high school in the United States. So I would say for us, and I feel like a lot of universities, it is helpful to get the two school profiles because, again, it gives us a better context and understanding of what are the two different curriculums and like environments, academic environments the student is moving from, because then that will be very reflective in their grades. And again, it will help us to determine like, where their academics stand, and, knowing that a student moved from one school to another school in two different countries also is a struggle in itself. So when we are seeing that maybe there's like a little bit of, up and downs in their grades, or they're doing really well, like we can understand a lot of what the student has done academically. So it is very helpful to share both. The more you share, the better, within reason. I will pass it.
Yeah, go ahead. Do you want me to take in on a third one?
Sure.
Okay. If a recommendation letter is written in other languages, let's say Japanese, should we send both the original letter with the translated version? That was a good question. We also can see, you can send both. And then also we kind of like, but the one that kind of used for universal is in English. So maybe you can send both original and also English translated. It doesn't have to be going to the translations office or with the stamp or anything like that. Just give us a couple words. Yeah, but usually we kind of like focus on the English version, but you never know. Many schools we also have a faculty or admission people that will read Japanese, right? So it's a small world. So feel free to share both. I don't say I would say it's optional. But and then as we're gonna quote Miss Priya said, more you send, more better, more simplified, more clearer. And then I can also admission world, we are not only one who read the application of your students. So that means a regular recommendation sometimes can be shared among, for example, if your student's going to apply for a Japanese, we also have a Japanese studies in the US, or something that related to something that closing to Japanese program. We also sometimes looking up for special who has a Japanese language talent or whatever the talent that can fit to your student. These letters can be very, very helpful to ours. Yeah, thank you. I'm going to pass it to
Thank you. I think Education USA Tokyo would like to, okay, never mind. Okay. I'll go to the next question. If students are very active in community activities, would it be fine for them to ask a community leader, for example, to write one of the letter of recommendations? In that case, the community leader may not have used a letterhead type paper. Would it be acceptable? So I think that's within reason of the university. So I would recommend the best thing to do is ask that admissions counselor or ask admissions first if you can do that and don't generalize with all the universities in the US. I would say for me, for North Central, that would be acceptable as long as we have some indication, like, maybe a website is shared or contact information is shared. But if it's just like some generic letter from a person that is giving no context of their contact information, it would be hard a little bit for us to accept that. But absolutely, we can take recommendation letters from community leaders because, students are involved in the community, like I said, previously, that's really important for counselors to see because we want the involvement on our campus community. So yes, it would be nice to see. Kataya, do you want to add in?
Yeah, similar to Ms. Priya was saying that everything is more better, but however, please keep in mind, we want if a community leader that would like to get the letter know you so well, I supporting that letter. But it's kind of like a more myth in terms of a cultural way. This is also very important. I want to kind of address. Sometimes when they think about little accommodation, they always go to a very big VIP top people. Sometimes they knock the door to the dean, they knock the door to principal, they knock the door to somebody else, which is they don't know you, they don't spend the time with you. If these community leaders really spend time with you, you go through the achievement or do a project with them, and you love to support, feel free to do so. Yeah, so that's kind of, but it's optional maybe. And then you can see if you're going to use a common app or the other places already, we're giving a lot of room for you to put in terms of activities. You can a little bit mention about that and the website, Lila Friends and those kind of things like that. But you can put on it. But I think it depends on each particular admission they're going to take a look or not. But try to find somebody who write a letter that support you, know you so well, you spend time so well. Don't talk about title, the company title or a letterhead, it doesn't matter to us. Sometimes we can see the PDF file, those kind of things like that. So I guess the content on the letter is more important than the letterhead. Yeah.
Looks like there's one question that was submitted in the comments, but which was who should write the recommendation letter and is it helpful to get more than one? You just answered who should write, but if you could maybe add a little bit about it, is it more better or just one, or do you have any suggestions on the number of recommendation letters?
I would say like 1 to 3, I think is the most impactful. Sometimes we see like 7 to 10. That's unnecessary, to be honest. I think, again, quality over quantity. I think, and it should be diversified. So, if it's, because sometimes we see letters that are saying the exact same thing about the student, which is also not great. But, if you have different teachers of different subjects, or maybe it was a teacher that's an advisor for a club or organization or somewhere that they volunteered, and then a teacher that the student is very close to. I think that is more impactful.
I think similar to what Ms. Priya would say, for us, I think if you can see from the university's application requirement for application, you can see the letter recommendation is optional, but it's good as admission count. And usually we will receive 2 letters from the school comment, but this is not the best common practice. I'm just going to share with you that 80% that we normally see, we see 2 letters. We see maybe 2 or 3. So one is going to be your college counselor. So basically, college counselor work with the students from year 9, year 10, year 11, year 12. They see the potential, they see the confidence, they see maturity, they see those kind of things like that, so they can be able to say. And then there may be 1 or 2 letters from the teacher that know you the best. I don't have to be a chairman of academic. It doesn't have to be provost. It's somebody that you're likely to be. We start to see a couple letter recommendation from alumni as well. Sometimes they were thinking that they know alumni and that this is an inspiration of them to apply. The alumni can be, but usually the more letter recommendation that we normally see and then weighted more is from the college counselors.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Looks like we just went through all the questions in the Q&A box. If you have any last minute questions, please submit while I finish conclude this session. But thank you so much to both of you for taking time out of your busy schedule. I know both of you are traveling everywhere, attending different fairs in different countries. So we really appreciate you taking the time, spending time with us in the morning. And then thank you, participants, attendees, for joining our session today. I would like to just remind that if you have any additional questions, please feel free to submit as well. But I will just remind that there will be one fair in Seoul, Korea, in May 2nd, and another one in Osaka, in Japan. So if you're available, as teachers, if you would like to attend those fairs, please sign up for those fairs as well. And finally, after we close this session, there'll be a quick survey. If you could also answer those survey questions, that would be appreciated. When you close the Zoom window, you will receive those survey. So looks like we don't have any more additional questions, so we will close this session today. Thank you so much, Priya Kritaya, for joining us, and that was very informative, insightful. Have a wonderful day to everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. どうもありがとうございます。